Welcome to Kvetchfest. I'm Jen.
And I'm Debbie.
We're Jewish.
So we like to kvetch.
I like to complain.
And I like to discuss things.
I grew up with my mom talking about all sorts of stuff. So I thought it would be fun to bring her onto Kvetchfest so we can have more conversations about life, politics, and everything in between.
I'm a boomer.
And I'm a millennial.
Our different perspectives could lead to shared insights, differing opinions, and new realizations about the world, ourselves, and our relationship. Be part of our community as we explore more together in relationship as parent and child.
Complaining can be cathartic, so let's kvetch together. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kvetchfest. I'm Jen.
I'm Debbie.
And today we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, AI. Not a thing of the past anymore, like the movie iRobot. Who remembers iRobot? Great movie, by the way. I watched it recently.
Did you?
It actually kind of holds up. Anyway, pretty good.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, you never saw iRobot?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe add it to the list. Yeah.
So many things on the list.
I know. It's not a list at this point. It's like a bucket.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, AI is a hot topic right now because it just keeps expanding, and there's OpenAI. AI is embedded into software and tools and applications on your computer, in your phone. It's in your car. I mean, fact check me, please, because I don't have all the facts on this, but it seems to be everywhere. As an actor, it's pretty at the forefront of like a lot of litigations and a lot of issues going on with regulation and how it shouldn't take your likeness. And a lot of actors are upset about AI creating AI actors to be in movies. And what does that open up? Or facilitating background actors instead of paying actual people, they're just putting AI bots in the background. There's pluses and minuses with all this, pros and cons. I see a lot of cons though with AI. I'll just be honest. Overall, I don't think it's a great thing, and especially without any regulation or limited regulation, it can be really troubling for humans and allows for a lot more exploitation, even though we're dealing with exploitation on a daily basis as it is. But Mom, I know that you're coming from probably a different perspective, thinking about generationally. AI probably wasn't talked about in your generation except for in the future. And the future is here now, of course, but like also what you do in your daily life. I don't know how much it impacts you, but for me, in my work, it impacts me in many, many ways, from maintaining my own business and using AI for content creation and people calling it AI slop. I don't want to become one of those people that just relies on AI slop or just makes that stuff. But at the same time, it's been in the large part the last couple of years of dealing with layoffs and dealing with navigating the job market, and every person telling you who's a job expert, quote unquote, saying to use AI in your resume and your applications and your cover letters, and then it's still not getting you places, or realizing people don't want you to be using AI, but these applications are so time consuming when you're applying to multiple jobs. There's just so many issues, and I could go on and on, but I'll stop. But there's like a lot to talk about. I'm
trying to think of where am I going to jump in here?
Say about this. I had no idea I had so much to say. Gosh, this is like a therapy session when you go in and you're like, well, I don't know what to talk about today. And then you end up crying by the end of that session.
Well, I'll start where you ended, because I just found out about this. I don't know if I just found out about it, but what was re-brought to my attention, let me put it that way, was we were watching an episode of Sunday Morning, and they were talking to kids who graduated. June was just around the corner ago, and they've been graduating from college, and they're trying to find jobs. They were talking about how difficult it is to get your resume seen. And what I heard, one little bit of that really bugged me, was that AI might be going through all these resumes and looking for buzzwords and certain qualifications for the company that you've chosen to send your resume to. But once it does that and it sorts that out and sorts you out, other AI in other companies will not look at your resume now, because another AI at a different company already sorted you out.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't know that.
frustrating.
Was
Yeah,
it
I didn't
that
know
was
that
very
either.
that I when I heard that, I'm like, what do you mean? Shouldn't you get okay, so that company maybe didn't hear or see the things, but why can't you resubmit? But once your resume sort of has been, it feels like it's been like cleaned.
Yeah, like crumpled up and tossed in the trash
Yes, you
in the
can't go
digital trash file.
right. Another AI won't look at it. Nope, that AI
Nope.
already said nope.
That are
Can you? Yeah. So that really surprised me. It bothered me, and that's why there's so much
sure.
frustration with people who are trying to find jobs. And so, of course, what was the upshot of that interview on Sunday morning was networking with real people.
Right, which is so
Right.
fascinating to me though, because as someone who's been in the trenches of being laid off 4 times and doing all the things like networking and stuff, it's still so difficult because networking is done through, let's say, LinkedIn or other online platforms that also have AI embedded in them. And so algorithmically, are you being seen by the people that you want to be seen by? And also, if you're not paying premium for these platforms, then you're limited on who has access to your profile and also who you have access to contact. So while someone might be 3 degrees from you, you might not be able to contact them unless you pay for LinkedIn premium or whatever. So you have to look them up in some other way and find them outside of LinkedIn perhaps. But yeah, it's just so frustrating because you're talking about AI, like we want it to be helpful. In an ideal world, I'd want AI to help people not work. Or you know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, we want the world to be a better place. So if AI is going to be here, then let's maybe make it useful and not exploitative. Exploitative?
I think you're right the first time.
Okay. We'll go with that. In terms of going back to what you're saying about AI and applications, I'm now seeing please don't use AI in your applications, but it's like it's hard because as someone who's posting a job, that person that's wanting to apply for that job might have like 10 jobs they want to apply for, and they're all asking for a cover letter, very specific questions, a specific resume. When I was leaving college, this was back in 2012, mind you, I went to a resume workshop with the counselor of the college. He was like, okay, you're gonna need a resume, let's help you out, let's get you a resume done. And that was it. I put together a resume, and then he was like, yeah, and then that's what you go use to apply with. It was one resume. I can't tell you how many resumes I have on my computer now. It's over hundreds because they've all been curated for different jobs with those keywords. And
Hmm.
that hasn't got me anywhere either. So it's so interesting to me with AI. It's if a human's not sitting down to read these things, then of course people are going to use AI to get through it because they just want to get a job. They just want to like put their work out there. And if AI is going to help them do it faster, they're going to do it. There's no incentive to not use AI, if that makes sense in this regard, anyway.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
I felt bad for this one kid they were interviewing. He said, all I want to do is move out of my parents' house.
yeah,
I need to get a job. He wants to launch. And I
yeah.
don't that was not when I was coming out. Not only was it not when I came out of high school or when I came out of college, the idea of not launching was not an idea really.
Right. Like there were
Most
many jobs
Yes,
available to
we all
you.
were able to, well, maybe not all, but most of us were able to launch,
Yeah.
so it's really hard to look back on that, which wasn't that long ago, really.
No, it
And
wasn't.
right, and think about how hard it is for our own children to be able to attach to things, especially if they're not going into certain jobs that were available when I was getting out of school, a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a nurse, I'm telling you, there's so
Mm-hmm.
many, and that's the other thing, there's so many different possibilities of career choice, which makes it
Mm-hmm.
difficult. But anyway, you were saying some of the negative things about AI, and I think I just want to mention a couple of good things, which I think is
Okay.
medical.
Okay.
I think AI has been very helpful to doctors in diagnosing and being able to look at disease and
Mm.
injuries and help with that and research, I
Okay.
would say would be a very positive effect. I know that I've read articles and I've seen doctors talk about it. And yes, there's a concern about AI taking over and all that. But I think that there's also some really good things that are coming out of that
Yeah.
to help people for longevity and a a better quality of life. So, and that's just in the medical field. I'm sure there's in other areas too, but I just wanted to mention that.
I had an experience with that when I had surgery back in February, where the surgeon, she sat down with me. She was like about to take notes, and she was like, "Actually, do you mind if I use my AI assistant so that I can look at you while we're talking?" At that moment, I was like, "Sure." And then I reflected back on it, and I was like, "Where's that going? Where is like our personal conversation living now?"
Right.
But I also felt like at the same time, I appreciated that we could just have a regular conversation. So yeah, it's like a pro and a con. I like that you're able to just like hit record essentially on our conversation and at the same and have a regular conversation with me at the same time. Like, is that like safe? What AI thing did you use?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I'm trying to think back, and I don't think I can even do that to when I would see doctors early on in my life, and they must have taken notes after the fact
Yeah, they didn't have
because
like clipboard or anything they were looking down at while they were,
I don't
or did
remember a lot of that, or they went
maybe
back.
they didn't take notes at all.
Maybe they didn't take notes. I mean, I don't remember that. They probably there was a chart. I remember them always with the chart, but I don't remember a lot of writing. Maybe they did that right after they came out of the appointment, but I don't think doctors, and I don't know because I'm not a doctor and or work for a doctor or in any of those fields, but maybe because they have to see, they're limited to how long they can be with a patient. They have to see so many patients that they have to kind of do it while it's happening. There's no time to go back into the office, reflect,
I don't
and
think
then
there
go to the
is.
next patient.
Right. Yeah.
But and then I've been in situations. Nobody's ever asked about AI, but I've been in situations where the doc is in there, and then there's a scribe, and that
Right.
person is doing all the writing. But for
Sure.
the most part, recently it's the doctors doing the writing
Yeah.
at the same time that they are checking you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I've never heard that. That's a first.
It's the first, right? Yeah, and that's I think going into talking about AI and medical in the medical field. I mean, I guess overall, honestly, it's like the reliance on this software
Okay.
essentially I that I find troubling. I'm afraid that it's going to become something that someone who went through schooling relies on to then diagnose people instead of critically thinking or using it as an in addition to. That worries me because when you think about it, AI is just it's human made. It
Right.
comes from people with their own biases, with their own lived experiences, creating code essentially to help in any number of these industries, medical, acting, tech, all of that. So that's interesting to me and that goes into self-driving cars, right? When you think about the issues with, and this came out years ago, but how they profile how to stop for people. They're programming for certain types of bodies and they don't realize that not, you know what I mean? It gets really tricky here. And that's why I have such an issue with self-driving cars in general. Like when I think about that, I'm like,
It's a hard
we
thing.
could put all this money into public transportation instead of self-driving vehicles. That seems so dangerous to me.
Right. And
You
I've
know,
not been in a Waymo. I have friends who've been in a Waymo. Many of them have had very positive experiences. I know during the last holiday we had, the 4th of July, there was a lot of issues downtown in the LA area with Waymos. So I can see that everything has kinks, but people I've talked to who own Teslas, let's say, for instance, they have very positive experience about how well the car takes over when it's in that driving mode, if you choose to put it into auto drive, and to
yeah,
the point where they feel more comfortable actually driving long distances under the control of the car as opposed to the control. Now they're still in
that's
control,
crazy to
not
me.
sleeping behind the. I mean, we see stories of that. I don't know if
Yeah,
those are true, but
yeah,
the idea of sleeping while the car is driving for you is not what most people are doing in Tesla, but they are using
I don't think you
all of those.
can. I
No,
don't
I
think you
think
can
that's
go to
what I'm
sleep.
saying. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the car, yeah, because the car is very intuitive and it tells you a lot of, it's gathering so much information.
yeah,
And so I've talked to enough people, not that I'm interested in purchasing a Tesla for myself, but I am interested in how we can make the drive safer. But I also have concerns. And so recently, my husband had to buy a car, and he bought a pre-owned 2-year-old car, and he kept saying, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And I kept saying, but those are that's in what base models have, because we have not purchased cars in so long that we
Right.
don't have all these things. We're using our phone and plugging in if we want to use a map. We don't have a car that's telling us things, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so now we have this car, and it's kind of overwhelming. Now, other
Hmm.
people will laugh when they hear this, but it's overwhelming to drive down the street and your side mirrors are beep, beep, beeping because they're telling you blind spot,
Yeah.
don't change lanes, or
Right.
the car slows down automatically when you get too close to another car. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many other things too.
Hmm.
There's Gemini, talking about AI, there's
AI.
Gemini in the car, what can I do for you kind of thing. And so it's pretty interesting. And it's sort of funny. At the same time, it's also serious because I had this, I don't know if it's an epiphany, but I had this idea. And I was talking to a friend of mine who ironically just also bought she bought a new car. We opted for the pre owned car, but it's the same car. And
Okay.
she had not bought a car for 22 years. And so now she's got this car where she feels like I have way too much stuff to deal with. And she started to turn things off, that option. But,
Yeah.
but we got into the conversation about how when we learned how to drive, we had to move ourselves,
Right.
look to make sure. We had to learn how to back up. We had to learn how to signal. We had to do all these things that I'm afraid that the younger generation is relying more on the car than they are on themselves and what the car can do.
Right.
But then
That's
I,
what I'm saying.
yeah, but then I just heard somebody tell me the other day that when you go take your driving test and you're behind the wheel, part of your driving test, the instructor will not let you use those things. They want to see you be able to use
Right.
those things on your own.
But see, then I find that interesting because we know that people are going to be using those things. So I think in addition to,
Right,
they should be tested on how to navigate these car systems like CarPlay,
right,
which is like a big screen in your car.
yeah,
When can you use that? When can you not? Like
right.
it's critical thinking. It's like one of those things that's very obvious to some people, but for some folks, especially because we allow teenagers to drive who don't have fully developed brains. Sorry, y'all,
Right,
but it's true.
right,
Probably, I mean, in some cases, I'm like, should you even be driving at that age? Because
right.
I'm thinking it wasn't until sadly I got into one of my first car accidents that I really took driving seriously. I mean, I took it seriously, but I don't think you realize as a teenager really the impact you have
Mm,
behind a wheel of a car.
right, right.
It's like something that's kind of, you don't quite embody it
It's
yet.
hard to comprehend. Yeah,
It's hard to comprehend, I think. And so, yeah, we have all these tools in the car to hopefully make us safer. At the same time, are we examining those tools and teaching young drivers how to actually engage in those, and also older drivers? I mean, any
oh
driver,
yeah.
it's like a one and done. You get your driving license and then it's like, okay,
Until you
good
get
luck. And
older,
until you get older, but it's like
way
even the
older.
driving test is not that difficult. I mean, I failed it. I failed it the first time, but honestly, it could be harder, I think, if we're really going to be taking it seriously. Driving tests and all of driving in particular could be have a lot more restraints, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for you to be able to actually start driving out there in the world.
Right. I think
Yeah.
it's harder. It's on the edges because the people in the middle are okay. I can do this, but the younger people are concerned they won't pass, and the older people are concerned they won't pass and they won't be able to have their independence and drive a car. And they're moving the needle on how old it was. 70 now. It's getting a little older where you don't have to have it behind the wheel unless you
Mm-hmm.
have issues. But no, I get you. And when we're trying to learn this car and looking at the manual and seeing everything on the car, even the backup camera is wonderful and also dicey
Right.
because you still have to look. You can't
Oh,
just look
I know. Oh my God. When I use other people's cars that don't have backup cameras, I start backing up. I'm like, oh my God, there's not a camera. What am I doing? Why am I
right,
just like hoping for the best here?
right. Yeah,
Like, use
no.
my brain.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think those elements are really good if they're used properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a downside to all of this AI
There's a
stuff.
downside. Yes. I think because it started off for me, it was like, it's about jobs, right? It's about replacing actual humans with AI software instead of helping people live better lives. It's about not regulating AI so that it can take you or my likeness and make it into deep fakes or scam people. Or I mean, there's so many things. I think if it had started out, and I think they would still get a lot of critique, which is good. We should be able to critically think through these things. But I think the way it kind of started to come into our lives is it wasn't a very negative way to begin with. But I think there's not a good, it needs a PR revamp, but it's not going to, because we already know that it's taking too much. It's taking too much water. It's taking too much land for the data centers. It's taking people's jobs. It's taking people's likenesses.
It's
It's
noisy.
just, yeah,
Data
it's just
centers are
not,
noisy. There's noise pollution in
yeah,
neighborhoods. People don't want them in their backyards.
yeah.
It's a
It's a
whole.
humanitarian crisis, I think, AI
Well, it
as a
seems to
whole.
me like we have a lot. Look, I understand what it's like to do research as an educator, and it's very and exciting, and it's very exciting when you've done the research and you're putting in a plan and you want to help kids, and you're very enthusiastic, but you also have to look at what the downsides of these things are. And it
Hmm.
seems to me we, especially when it comes to AI, we always seem to put the cart before the horse. Like we
Right.
Yeah, in fact, and not just with AI, but a lot of the technology, just with
Hmm.
kids on the internet and social media. We didn't think about parental controls until like now. I
Right.
mean, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
why weren't those things? Why don't we stop and say, yeah, we have this thing,
Right.
but let's do the litigation, let's do the regulation, but they don't want to because this is money making. So
Right.
first let's make the money, and then if a problem happens, then we'll
Yes.
sort that up,
I
right?
know. Oh my God. Yes, Mom. I saw this thing the other day where it was some content creator telling you how to make a living as a faceless YouTube creator making AI videos for children. I was like, this is so despicable, because it's just you're profiting off of the attention span of young children, where it's bright colors, bright lots of sounds, this crap, and it's just like, oh my God, this is wild. And of course, I guess in terms of like me growing up in the 90s, of course, commercials were
Hmm.
kind of the same thing, and I didn't have a choice to watch those. They were just on TV. And I don't recall you really having you didn't put parental controls on the TV when I was growing up. But I
Oh
will
yeah,
say, I think it was
certain
different.
content, yeah.
Yeah, certain content, of course, you didn't let me watch, but overall, I saw Freddy Krueger at a young age. I Know What You Did Last Summer, and couldn't. I still to this day can't close my eyes in the shower for very long. Like I
Those
saw
were at
stuff.
friends' houses, though, right?
Cousins.
All right, see,
Yeah, cousins,
they didn't
friends.
have parental control.
Yeah. I think maybe actually it was in my brother's room, one of those movies. Not Freddy Krueger, but what was the other one that came out at around that time? Jason? The
Oh,
Jason
maybe
films?
I didn't watch it. I
Yeah.
thought, my father wouldn't let me watch Psycho. I
Right.
To
And
this day I haven't watched Psycho.
but that's the difference. In the 90s, it was a VHS tape and then whatever was on the TV. The
Right.
internet was just becoming a thing. Now it's like so unregulated. A kid can These kids are so amazing with technology.
Oh
They
yeah.
know how to find stuff. They know how to get past parental controls. They just do it. And there's so much on the internet that in school I saw kids, second graders on YouTube, with typed in the search bar sex. They know what they
Oh
want
yeah.
to look. Yeah, they're curious, and the
Sure.
internet will satiate that curiosity pretty quickly
Too
with.
bad that they can't use AI in that moment when a second grader is typing that in. The AI says, "Nope,
I know.
no, I can tell you are not old enough to look at that." I don't know,
Right.
right? Or have something.
Yeah.
But I remember
Well,
when we went during COVID, when we were on in our Google classrooms, and the kids were learning how to hack into other teachers' classrooms and change test scores, change
right.
test questions. We were like, "Oh, now we have." So now the IT department at my district had to
Yeah.
figure out how to
Like,
log.
wow, that's very intelligent, but there's
Yes,
a time and a place for this.
right.
Let's talk. And that's hard. I mean, that's the thing. It's like for every problem, well, yeah, every problem there's a solution, but then sometimes it also creates another
Problem.
problem,
Yes.
which is typical,
Yeah.
in
But I
life.
still
But
feel like we don't. we don't think about the drawbacks before we introduce. We
No, we
introduce.
don't. Because we just want the CEOs to make money. We don't
And
want
also, I think there's excitement, and we want people want to be the first company. They want to be the first person to have
right.
developed this and show it to the
Yeah.
world. And
Hmm.
then that's when the shit hits the fan after a while, and then they have to go back and shore things up.
And I also think the people behind these programs generally have a lot of backers, have a lot of money, have a lot of wealth already, are coming from a privileged place. So I don't think they're thinking about the negative effects on this kid in this state with this situation. They're not thinking about, or maybe they are thinking about the negative effects and they don't care. I think a lot of the times we think that people behind this type of work and these fields have an empathetic mindset or care about the ramifications of this, but I have to say I think they probably don't.
But then on the flip side, we can
Yeah,
look at it slightly different,
sure.
that maybe they think they're hoping that they're introducing it to people who are going to use it correctly and not going to go down a dark path. Do you know what I mean? But we can't. I mean, there's so much already that we know because of all this
Oh
technology,
yeah.
because of the internet and the dark this and deep that. So, you know, that
That's
that
the
I
title.
understand that ship has sailed, but I want to believe that people are going to be using things for good. But what's happening if you just watch the local news for 10 minutes, you're like, what is
Well,
happening?
holy, it's well, and that's the thing, right, Mom? It's like people make are going to make bad choices in a society no matter what. But I think what propels people further into making poor choices is not having their needs met. And if we
Oh,
continue
absolutely.
to build AI in this robust way, but still neglect the people, of course, people are going to turn to this platform, then this software, to generate scams, to generate ways for themselves to make money, to find ways to hurt either themselves or others because they don't, well, some are just they have issues, and other people know what they're doing and are doing it because they don't have access to other forms of help and resources. So yeah, it's
Absolutely.
like, again, it's not solving the actual ills of society. AI possibly could. I don't know that it
Right.
could. But yeah, I think you're right. It's like the lack of regulation. But then it gets into like free speech with AI. Is that like what does that look like? Like can you, if we do regulate AI, then that puts power with AI in different places. It gets really messy really fast, right? That's
It
why they want
does.
it.
It's
Yeah.
incredibly complicated. And then all I
Yeah.
think is now I feel guilty because I'm finally using a listening device, Alexa, right? And I finally have that all understood and I have things plugged in. I have lights going on and off and I can ask it questions. And I'm like, oh, crap. I am
Yeah.
becoming part of that problem.
Well, me too. I've been that problem. I've had Google Home in my house for, I don't know, 5 years now, more than. And I am absolutely part of the problem. And I happy to, not happy to say, but like comfortable saying, like, I think we're living in a hypocritical world. I'm a hypocrite all the time. How can you not be with trying to figure out, especially, and people are going to come at me, but it's like, being a vegan and then you're like, oh, but you're still using AI. It's like, yeah, but also eating cows takes up way more water if you actually want to look into it. So maybe fix
Right.
one thing first before complaining about another. But it's like, of course, we live in a world that's just, it's not black and white. We're always living in the gray area.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're constantly navigating the best choice that we can make out of a lot of poor ones. You know what I mean? Like a lot of difficult choices all the time.
It is. It
And
is. It's just
yeah.
like paper and plastic is still a problem because now the stores aren't giving you plastic bags because those have been they're regulated now. You can't have them. There's regulations for that. So now the stores are giving you paper bags, but it apparently it takes a huge amount of water to create these paper bags. And yes, they do. They are compostable. They do. Not like the plastic, but okay, great. But now you've used up all this water to make the bags instead of the plastic. So then I think
Mm.
don't use any of that. Just use a reusable material bag or whatever that you have in the trunk of your car and try not to use the paper bags. But then you're human and you go to the store and you go, dang it, I forgot the bag. And then you either
Right.
walk out with the crap in your car and you have to rebag it, or they just give you a bag to get you out of there, right? And so it's just right. It's all these little things that add up to these huge problems, and people, it's not that they lose hope necessarily, they just don't want to be bothered.
Well, and it gets the onus of fixing all these issues gets placed on an individual,
Right. Where
the collective people,
yes.
let's say,
Uh-huh.
instead
Right.
of the corporations, the grocery stores, or companies that want to help mitigate these issues. Instead, it's placed on the consumer. And it's like, we can't even afford our own lives. How are we going to, that, which is on purpose, so
Right.
that we don't fix the status quo. But of course, of course, people are going to get resentful. Of course, people are going to get, what's the word, unfazed or low, what's the,
Apathetic.
apathetic. And I do too all the time, because it's like, how much can I, not really change as a one person, but how much, if it's just me buying organic shit and being vegan, okay, that's fine. But it's like, as a collective, that's where changes are made. But even more so than a collective, it's organizations, it's corporations, but we've ruled out corporations having any fault in these things or any responsibility, because we voted for them to not, because they've now become a person, essentially. So again, I know.
I never understood that from the beginning. I don't understand that now, and it's biting us all in the butt, except for the people who are making ginormous piles of money off of
Right.
the situation. And
Right.
I'm
We
not
have
against,
our
I don't want to act as if I'm against people making ginormous piles of money. It's the distribution of money that bothers
it's
me,
a distribution, but also, I mean, are you against people
and
being
services.
billionaires? Because I feel like billionaires is quite a bit of wealth that maybe
Yeah,
no one
nobody
should
needs to be
have.
a billionaire. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a, I know it's maybe for that person, it's like, wow, look what I've accomplished in my life, and look how I've helped society in their minds. I
Maybe
read,
millionaires
I
think
made
that way,
this,
but billionaires, that's like so much exploitative wealth. It's insane. I don't think it's possible to
and why
truly
not give it
comprehend.
away at this point? Because you can't unload that kind of money in your lifetime, or anybody in many
Right.
lifetimes,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
know.
very it's very frustrating. The
It's
whole
very frustrating. There's a lot more we could talk about. Of course, this is an ongoing conversation and change all the time. Is there any last points you want to make, Mom, or any last things you want to say?
I think I wrote down put in, think later. Just use it and then figure out why there's problems. I was just thinking that I remember having a conversation with your brother where I would ask Alexa for something and he said something. I know it was sarcastic. He said, "You need to say thank you because you never know if Alexa's going to come back." And
Yeah.
yeah. And then I found out if you say thank you, that makes the data centers, every time a person thanks Alexa or talks, Alexa gives the answer and then you talk again, that's another activation of the data center, right?
Yeah.
So now I try not to talk that much to Alexa, but what have
Mm-hmm.
they done with Alexa? They've made Alexa more human.
Right.
So Alexa is now very conversational. So you don't have to talk to Alexa like it's a robot. You can talk to Alexa. So if I ask Alexa just out of curiosity, I'll say, "How long should I cook chicken, a pound of chicken?" And Alexa, my Alexa happens to be female, it sounds to me, 350 at blah blah. And I'll say, "Okay, well, how long do you think that'll be?" And it's just like a regular conversation. Well, let's look that up. Well, you could do it for 45 minutes if you want it like this. And it becomes like you're having an actual conversation.
Oh, I know.
And we also all know that it's always listening.
Right.
So
Yes.
the other day we were talking about a friend of ours whose the friend's name is Alyssa, and Alexa said, "Did you want something from me?" We're like, "No,
No.
Alyssa, not Alexa." But so I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh golly, where's all this conversation that I'm having in my house going?"
I know. I use it to turn on my lights
Yes,
and
that's what
stuff.
I do.
And when I'm staying somewhere else, I'm like, oh right, no one. Okay, that's not a thing here. Okay, I have to. It's like weird how quickly you get used to
You
these
do,
things. It's
you do,
bizarre.
you
I
do. And I
know.
have in my household, because I set it up, Alexa's basically controlled by my voice.
Right.
So if my husband wants to turn something on and off, forget it. It's not listening to him.
He's just got to sing to it a couple nights
Yeah,
a week.
yeah. Who is this? Sorry. But you can still manually, come on,
Yeah.
turn it off, turn it back on. But
Yeah.
so I have to tell people who stay with us that this is what's happening, and
Mhm.
just if you want it off, just turn it off,
Yeah.
right? Or if you
Yeah.
want it on, just turn it on. But yeah, it is a conundrum because it's kind of cool, and
I
that's
know.
the problem.
I know. Well, in this way, it can be helpful, right? But it still makes me feel like, oh yeah, ooh, ooh. It's like I always go back to that show, The Good Place, because it's just like such a fabulous show. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've stopped watching it. I gotta
Oh
go back.
God, the ending is just really good. So I don't want to spoil it for you, but essentially, it's like everything you do could have a negative, even if it was based in a positive intention, it could have a negative impact, right? It's like you buying flowers for some, I'll just make it really simple. You buying flowers for somebody, and then that's really positive intention, but those flowers came from a farm that exploited the farm workers. And so it's that you're constantly in this state of like, holy shit. Like you think you're doing a good thing, but people see it as bad, or is it inherently bad because you didn't think about buying it from so and so place? But even if you bought it from so and so place, does it still track back to an exploitative environment? And like it's you know
Sounds like
so
a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode
yeah,
or a Seinfeld.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
It's
yeah.
it's these things compound, and it's difficult to parse them apart now. Maybe it always was, but with technology and how we navigate it as humans, it's becoming increasingly more difficult to like really separate yourself from the impacts that we all have on each other.
It totally is, and I think that for some of us who are really concerned about that, we it feels to me like I can only speak myself that I always have to make a disclaimer.
Right. It's like yeah, it's like, well, it's like talking to my friends now. It's like, well, they'll say, like, I'll be like, where'd you get this? And I'll be like, Amazon,
Right? Yeah.
But then it's like, well, that's where so and so works. That's where my partner works. So I can't like be that mad about it. Or, I'm paraphrasing, of course, or this and that. It's like, yeah, it's tough, right? Because that's where you're getting your livelihood, and so but it's so tricky, right? Because obviously you can still be upset critically about what a company is doing to a majority of its workers, and how also we're so reliant on this service because they made it so, right?
Easy.
They made it easy to be reliable on it.
So I'll just put a
Um,
shout out to Blue Cart.
ooh, Blue Card. Okay.
Yeah. So that could be an alternative to Amazon.
All right. I'll have to
Yeah.
look that up.
Look that up.
Yeah.
Bluecart.com, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I know there's people to wrap it up a little bit, what
Mm-hmm.
I see for some people who have Teslas, they have disclaimer bumper stickers on their cars because now
Yes.
they feel a hell of a lot of guilt over buying a Tesla when Elon Musk turned out to be something they were not essentially proud of. And
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm just saying there are people who don't like that. And now
Sure.
they have this car and they're not
Mm-hmm.
about to, some people have returned them.
Yeah.
Other people won't or can't for many reasons. And I have no opinion about that, but I'm saying that it's really hard because if you want to be ethical and you want to be
Mm-hmm.
humane, but you also live in a system, you're always couching your
Yeah.
decisions or the way you speak because you want
Right.
people to understand that you understand.
Right. Exactly.
So if that's important to you.
Yeah. Right.
See? And as well.
Oh, complicated.
It is complicated.
Yeah.
Let's go ask AI about it.
Shut up. No, we're not. Get out of here.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Kvetchfest. We'd love to hear from you, so send us your complaints, your questions, your juicy annoyances, or anything you need to vent about. You might even hear it featured in a future episode. Depending on where you're listening, you can leave us a voice note, drop something in the Q&A box, or email us directly at kvetchfestpodcast@gmail.com. Whether you want advice, reassurance, or just a space to yell into the void, we're here for you. We've got new episodes every month, so make sure you're following or subscribe so you never miss a good kvetch. Thanks for joining us, because here on Kvetchfest, complaining is cathartic. And remember, if something's on your chest, kvetch it off.